There are places where rain is just part of the routine, and no one takes much notice of the water that falls from the sky. But some rains around the world are anything but conventional, and when they happen, they leave stories that span generations. One such place is Yoro, a town in Honduras that is home to a unique phenomenon: the mysterious lluvia de peces, or fish rain. But what really happens in Yoro? Do fish really fall from the sky, or is it all just a good story to attract attention? Stick around, because now Bello is going to take you to find out everything about this enigma. Number 1. Location and geographical data. Honduras may look inconspicuous on the map, but it has a natural and historical wealth that surprises. Located right in the heart of Central America, it is surrounded by El Salvador, Guatemala, and Nicaragua, with the Caribbean Sea to the north and the Pacific Ocean to the south. This strategic position is not just geographical. It connects cultures, economies, and histories across the Americas. The country's territory covers more than 112,000 square kilometers and presents an impressive diversity. High mountains dominate much of the interior, contrasting with dense forests and fertile valleys that support local agriculture. In the north, the proximity to the Caribbean not only defines the landscapes, but also shapes the climate and biodiversity, while the more discreet southern coast hides gems like the Gulf of Fonseca. Speaking of nature, we can't fail to mention the Mesoamerican Reef System, which runs along much of the Caribbean coast. This is the second largest coral reef in the world and a true paradise for divers, with crystal clear waters that reveal a fascinating underwater universe. And when it comes to climate, the country is second to none when it comes to diversity. The coastal region, influenced by the Caribbean, is hot and humid almost all year round, while the mountainous interior offers milder temperatures. Between May and November, the rainy season transforms landscapes and brings a different vibe to the territory, while the dry months, from December to April, are ideal for exploring beaches and hiking trails. With such diversity in landscapes and climate, this country is much more than a dot on the map, and its history, as rich as its geography, is what awaits us next. Number 2. History. Honduras' history is full of twists and turns, marked by conquest, exploitation, and a constant struggle for independence. Long before the colonizers set foot on these lands, the territory was already home to one of the most advanced civilizations in the Americas, the Mayans. Copan, one of their most important centers, was a true example of grandeur, with imposing temples and refined sculptures. But as happens in so many stories, all this began to change in the 16th century. The arrival of the Spanish, led by Hernán Cortés and his commandos, turned the page of local history. The territory was transformed into a colony, and its riches, especially gold and silver, were drained to Europe. Those who paid the price were the indigenous peoples and the Africans who were brought in by force and who faced centuries of inhuman labor. Independence came in 1821, but as many can imagine, freedom did not bring immediate stability. Coups and political disputes took hold, and it was in this environment that a new type of conqueror appeared: the banana companies. These foreign corporations didn't come in search of precious metals, but something simpler and extremely lucrative: bananas. At least that's what they preached. At first, the fruit was the focus, but soon the landscape changed. Number 3. The Banana Republic. At the end of the 19th century, big names like the United Fruit Company and the Standard Fruit Company landed in the country, promising progress and development. But what they did was turn fertile lands into private empires. They bought up properties at derisory prices, built railroads, controlled ports, and, even more frighteningly, began to manipulate entire governments. The politicians, they were often nothing more than pieces on the board of these corporations. Coup d'etat, financed, leaders, handpicked, as long as they favored corporate interests. This is how the term Banana Republic was born, which ended up sticking in the country and symbolizing economic dependence and political submission to foreign interests. While the executives of these companies lined their pockets with profits, local workers faced a completely different reality. Low wages, exhausting working hours, and inhumane working conditions. To make matters worse, the concentration of land created an inequality that left deep scars on society. The corporations had so much power that the presidents often served their interests more than those of the people. And as if that wasn't enough, the impact on the economy was devastating. The country became dependent on a single product on the foreign market, while the wealth generated benefited only a small elite. As they say, profit for the companies, bribes for the politicians, and, for the rest of the population, only the bark remained. Today, things have changed, but the scars are still there. Agriculture remains a pillar of the economy, along with the textile industry and remittances from workers abroad. In education, although literacy rates have advanced, the challenges in rural areas remain enormous. And here's a curiosity. Study is not compulsory. In education, there are signs of progress, but the system still faces significant challenges, especially in rural areas where infrastructure is precarious. And here's a curious fact. In the country, education is not compulsory for young people over the age of 14. According to the Constitution, study is a right, but not an obligation after that age. You don't have to be a genius to know that children are forced to drop out of school even if they don't want to in order to help with household expenses, do you? Even so, the country moves on, trying to reinvent itself while carrying the lessons of its past. Number 4. Top destinations. Since Copan has already made an appearance here, we can't help but take a closer look at this fascinating place. Known as the Athens of the Mayan world, this ancient city is a true archaeological treasure. What makes it special? Its detailed sculptures, majestic temples, and the famous stars that tell the stories of the Mayan rulers. Strolling through the ruins is like taking a trip back in time, immersing yourself in one of the most incredible chapters of pre-Columbian history. But the country isn't just about the past. If you like paradisiacal beaches, you need to visit the Bay Islands. Roatan, Utila, and Guanaja offer crystal-clear waters, coral reefs, and a Caribbean atmosphere that is hard to resist. If beaches aren't your thing and you prefer more mountainous landscapes, the interior is just as impressive. The La Tigra region, for example, is home to a national park that mixes dense forests, trails, and waterfalls. A perfect destination for those looking to disconnect and breathe fresh air. And speaking of a full plate, you can't miss out on Honduran gastronomy, which is also the subject of the next chapter. Number 5. Gastronomy. When it comes to flavors, the country has a cuisine that mixes indigenous, African, and Spanish traditions, resulting in dishes that are true invitations to pleasure. The local cuisine is vibrant, with colors, aromas, and spices that make any meal unique. To start the day off right, baleada is a must. This wheat tortilla, stuffed with refried beans, cheese, and cream, is a classic that wins everyone over. If you want something stronger, just add meat, eggs, or even avocado. The motto here is simple: the more filling, the better. For lunch or dinner, nothing represents the local cuisine better than the typical dish. It's a combination that pleases every palate. grilled meat, rice, beans, fried plantains, and of course, tortillas. It's home cooking at its best. If you're near the coast or on the Bay Islands, the star of the menu is the snail soup. Made with coconut milk, plantains, and pieces of sea snail, this Caribbean delicacy is creamy, rich, and unforgettable. And if you're one of those who can't do without dessert, then don't miss out on the capirotada, a bread pudding with honey, raisins, and spices, perfect for the more traditional, especially during Holy Week. You can see that no matter what your preference, beaches, mountains, history, culture, or good food, there is always something special waiting for you in this country. But if in addition to all these places and delights we've just mentioned, if there's one place that attracts worldwide attention, it's Yoro. Number 6. Yoro, City of Miracles. Yoro is a place that combines natural charm and mystery. Surrounded by green hills and fertile valleys, this inland region is famous for its agricultural diversity. From cocoa to coffee, the land here is generous. But there's much more to it than that. Geographically, Yoro is a department with an area of almost 8,000 square kilometers and a population of approximately 590,000 inhabitants. Its capital, La Union, is known for its tranquility and natural beauty. These include the impressive Pito Solo waterfalls and the exuberant landscapes of the Sierra de Omoa, which enchant visitors in search of adventure and a connection with nature. But what really puts Yoro on the map and in the imagination of people around the world is something quite different. A phenomenon so unique that it seems to have come straight out of a movie. You know that animation where a machine makes it rain hamburgers? Well, here the machine doesn't exist, but the rain is real. And instead of hamburgers, we have fish. Yes, you heard right. In Yoro, once or twice a year, fish literally fall from the sky. It's a spectacle straight out of the Bible. During intense storms with strong winds and thunder, dozens, sometimes hundreds of fish appear on the ground, as if they had been thrown straight from the clouds. Rains of animals, although rare, have been reported in various parts of the world. Frogs, snakes, rats, spiders, and even jellyfish have been the protagonists of these bizarre events. Examples include a rain of snakes in the United States in 1877, rats in Algeria in 1902, and fish in Australia and India in recent years. But what makes Yoro so special is the frequency of this event. Here, it happens at least once a year, and sometimes even more. An intriguing phenomenon that continues to attract attention and theories. Number 7. Why does it happen? When it comes to the famous rain of fish in Yoro, there are several hypotheses but no definitive answer. This fascinating phenomenon has yielded many theories, from scientific explanations to interpretations that are closer to the supernatural. Some experts argue that the event is linked to waterspouts, also known as waterspouts. These phenomena, similar to tornadoes that form over bodies of water, can suck up fish and other small animals, transporting them over long distances until they are dumped on land. During intense storms, thunderstorms could be responsible for bringing fish from the sea to Yoro. However, there is one detail that makes this explanation a little unlikely. Yoro is located about 73 kilometers from the coast. For this theory to work, tornadoes would have to carry fish with surgical precision to the same place year after year. Another, more plausible theory involves the underground. A National Geographic team in the 1970s suggested that fish emerge from underground currents during heavy rains. These animals, according to the study, are not found in the region's rivers, but are freshwater. They also have a curious characteristic. they are blind. This reinforces the idea that they live in caves or underground rivers, being brought to the surface by the force of the rains. What is certain so far? Nothing. Scientists have yet to come up with a definitive explanation for this phenomenon. Number 8. Legend of the Rain. While scientists rack their brains to explain the rain of fish in Yoro, the people there have their own stories, and there's no shortage of fascinating versions. The most famous of these involves Father Manuel de Jesus Subirana, a Spanish missionary who arrived in the region in the 19th century. Legend has it that when he came across the hunger and extreme poverty of the locals, Father Subirana decided to take action. But instead of looking for food, he looked for something more powerful. He prayed. He spent 3 days and nights in intense prayer, asking God to help those desperate people. The answer? A shower of fish fell from the sky, feeding the people and bringing relief. The event was so remarkable that to this day many believe it to be the work of God. This story didn't just spread by word of mouth. It even inspired renowned writer Jorge Montenegro, who included the miracle of the fish in his famous Tales and Legends of Honduras, ensuring that the narrative came to life beyond the city's borders. For the locals, the rain of fish goes beyond scientific explanations or rituals. It is part of who they are. Every year, the town celebrates this phenomenon with festivals and parades that mix tradition and faith, but also as an important part of earning extra money. Number 9. Profit from fish. The famous fish rain in Yoro, apart from being an inexplicable phenomenon, has become something much bigger for the locals. The annual event, which was already a cause for celebration and stories passed down from generation to generation, is now an economic opportunity that is changing lives. With just over 100,000 inhabitants, a large part of Yoro's population lives from informal jobs and faces daily difficulties. In a region where the average income is barely $1 a day, every resource counts. And when that resource literally falls from the sky, how can you not take advantage of it? With this in mind, a British advertising agency teamed up with a fish giant to create a sustainable economic model. The idea was simple: turn the famous Lluvia de Peces into a structured way of improving the community's living conditions. And so the Heaven Fish Project was born. It works like this. During the event, families rush to collect the fish that fall from the sky, such as tilapia, snapper, and sea bass. They are then delivered to local sorting centers, where they are cleaned and processed. The fish are then packaged with 100% sustainable materials made from banana peels and sent to more than 200 restaurants and supermarkets in the country. The unusual origin and exclusivity allow the product to be sold as premium, guaranteeing more profit for everyone. And why does this make such a difference? Because each kilogram of fish collected brings in around $13. During the event, many families managed to catch at least 10 kilos of fish, which already represents significant financial relief. At first, it's true, the villagers were a little hesitant about the sales initiative. After all, for years, the rain of fish was seen as a divine gift and a chance to enjoy some kind of meat in a region where the staple food is corn and beans. But over time, the idea gained momentum. Many realized that it was possible to maintain the essence of the event and, at the same time, secure extra income. Today, the phenomenon is not just a mystery or a tradition. It has become a perfect blend of faith, celebration, and a new source of income. Who would have thought that something as surreal as fish falling from the sky could transform people's lives so much? And so we come to the end of our journey through Honduras and the mysterious Yoro, the land of the incredible rain of fish. Now we want to hear from you. What caught your attention the most? The miracle told in the legends, the mystery that defies science, or how the phenomenon is changing the lives of the locals? Tell us in the comments and share your impressions of this unique story. If you like content that explores places with events as fascinating as they are unexpected, stay with us. There's much more of our Bello Mundo to discover together. Thank you for following us here. See you in the next episode of this journey through the extraordinary.